week's video is different because what we're looking at are the 9 hidden secrets that property managers have that you may not be aware of, that you should be looking at to judge their performance. When we hand a property over to a property manager, we're handing over a major financial asset and we're entrusting that property manager to handle it in the best financial means and care of our property possible. Most times, property owners only judge on 2 criteria. What has been my financial return from this property? How well does the property manager communicate with me? What I would suggest, here are 9 other areas that you should be looking at as a property owner. And you may find that, yes, your property manager is performing well in some or even all of them. Or you may be surprised and shocked that your property manager is not doing the best thing by you and your property. Here are the 9 hidden secrets as I lift back the veil on property manager performance. Number 1, and possibly the most obvious, is does your property manager list your property on more than one online travel portal? Are they just on Airbnb? If so, why? If they're on just booking.com, if so, why? Most times, small property managers, for lack of software, resources, money, etc., will use just Airbnb. And what we find is our current last 3 months sales for our 60 properties that we manage, 50% of all bookings come from booking.com, 40% come from Airbnb, 10% come from either our direct booking site of our own or from stays. If you're not on multi-platforms, you're missing potentially up to half or more of traffic that could be generated to your business. First thing to check on. Sounds easy, sounds obvious, but first one to check on. Number 2, for an online listing, photos are everything. The quality of the photos, how well they highlight your property features, your garden, your resources, your pool, your spa, your location, your local shops, your local attractions are paramount. You check your listing and find that these aren't professional photos. These were taken by the property manager on their iPhone, iPad, whatever, or they were taken by a professional photographer, but not by an Airbnb photographer. So they have lots of beautiful arty photos of your vase and a flower pot and a stool, but they don't show any of the bedrooms. They don't show the layout of the kitchen. First thing, just go in and check. What are the photos like? What are the description like? Does it show my property in the best possible light? Your property is an asset, it's there, it should be shown off in the best possible way. Simple thing, look at and check. Number 3, as an owner, you'd like to know what the performance is. How is my property going? How are the bookings? What are the bookings looking like ahead? Therefore, do you have access to a live, real-time owner's portal showing you all the bookings, showing you the calendar, showing you the breakdown of all the bookings? You, as an owner, should be able to view all the bookings and see the financial composition of them, and also, of course, to make any owner bookings. If you want to stay, you go on there, click done, and you're booked in as well. If you don't have that, it's something you should have. Number 4 is the management fee for managing your property. In reality, we call it the true management fee. It's probably the most misunderstood aspect of managing. To get a true comparison, to really look at what am I being charged as in comparison to what others would charge me, you need to compare apples to apples. We believe the fairest method of charging an owner is that the guest pays the entire fee for cleaning, all the linen, and all of the guest consumables for the property. So tea, coffee, toilet paper, shampoo, conditioner, dishwashing powder, etc. All of those consumables, plus the linen, plus the cleaning, are paid for by the guest. The management fee is only levied on the accommodation. And for instance, we charge 20% GST Inc. But not everyone does that. The most common way is if you have an apartment, say, in a resort or a large building with on-site management, you will normally pay anywhere from 40 to 52% of total guest booking. I'll say that again. Most on-site managers, you will end up paying between 40 and 52%. They vary from building to building. I've only ever seen one at 40, most are in the mid 40s, but I have seen them at up to 52%. Our belief is that this is your property, this is your asset. You need to maximise your return on it and not be subsidising the on-site managers. And the reason that this happens is on-site managers have bought the management rights for their building. All right, so a bit like a taxi plate. So they bought the taxi plate, they paid an excessive amount of money for it. Uber comes along and says, we can do it for this is cheaper. Why should every person that gets in a taxi be subsidising the business purchase practices of the taxi owner? The on-site managers are the same. They've paid a lot of money for the building and the rights, and they're expecting that you would stay there and not go anywhere else. They charge you accordingly. They charge you both for the management of the property and sheets and linen, etc., and cleaning, but then they also have the built-in charge where they're needing a return on the large capital investment they made in the property. Is it your job to subsidise them? We don't think so. There are others as well that will charge, like us, they'll charge 20% GST Inc. And you say, well, that's a comparable. The other thing is just check, because sometimes, yep, it's exactly the same and that's the way they are. But other times when you check, oh, that's extra. Oh, that's extra. Oh, that's extra. So once again, compare apples and apples. The other one that we've seen appear in the last maybe 2 years is property managers who say, we will charge 10%. And then owners are saying to us, look, they can do it for 10%. And I say, yes, they can do it for 10% management fee. And they said, well, you do 20. And I said, oh, did they mention that you're also paying the guest cleaning fee? Oh, they didn't. Oh, well, there you go. The true, when you compare apples to apples, often those you're paying 10% means that you're paying 40+% for the management rights. So be very careful when you look at it and don't just go for the headline number and say 10% I'll do it, or don't go, oh, they're on-site managers, because they're there, they'll be the cheapest, they'll be the best. And clearly they're not, they're the worst. Number 5, little hidden secret from short-term rental property managers. The question asked of us many times by owners is, I have a property, I have an apartment, I have a flat in a building, in a resort. Do I have to use the on-site managers? And sometimes even the on-site managers have told them they have to use them, they have no other options. That is completely untrue. The Australian Federal Government Trade Practices Act actually prohibits action like that, and owners have a choice. You certainly can do it with the on-site managers, but you can also certainly engage another party. The external people that come in won't be allowed to use their front desk, won't be allowed to store things there, etc. But that's okay. The people who do that, like us, can work around that. So you have choice. Do you have to have an on-site manager? Absolutely not. Number 6, as the numbers are getting higher, you may notice that the charges and costs to owners are becoming more expensive. Number 6 is, what are the minimum nights that are allowed for bookings at your property? So if you went into your listing now and went to the calendar just as a random guest and clicked a date and went to click the next day, a little thing will appear above it and will say it's got a minimum so many nights stay. It may be 4, 5, 6, 7. Why is that? Is it because the managers told you to maximise revenue on your property, we only will take 7-day bookings? Clearly that's rubbish. On the coast, 70% of all bookings that we have of our total booking nights come from either an overnight stay or a 2-night stay. I'll say that again, 70% of all booked nights that we have come from either 1 or 2 nights. Yet when we look at listings and look at many sites on the coast, they have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nights as their minimum. So if you go to book and you're only here for 1 night or here for 2 nights, something we're very happy with, because many others have got multi nights minimum. Why do they do that? Surely they're wanting to maximise your revenue. Well, yes, they want to maximise your revenue, but what they want to do is, cleaning is hard. Cleaning's a hassle. Cleaning's and ongoing. So if I make a minimum on your property of 5, 6, 7 nights and a week goes by, I only have to clean it once. If it got rented, excellent. If it didn't get rented, well, it's empty, you didn't have to clean it. For us, your property may have had 7 one-night stays. We had to clean it 7 times, but that's okay. The guest pays for the cleaning. So for you, when you look at it, there may be a reason why a property has a minimum night. It may be it's a large house on the waterfront and we have minimum 2-night stays. It may be Christmas, Easter, school holidays where we have 3-night stays, etc., because people are coming for longer and we wish to block out all of it. But as an ongoing thing for 45 weeks a year, having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-night minimums is costing you money, and your total pool of visitors that come is much, much smaller. Number 7 of the hidden costs, imposts from property managers that you need to have a look at to see whether or not this is something that's affecting you. Are you charged additional fees for a variety of tasks? I don't know. Go and check your statement. I'll give you a starting point. An electrician does work at your property. There's an electrical problem. We had the electrician out. The bill was $150. We charge you $150. It's as simple as that. But check yours. Get a copy of the invoice, and if you find that, the manager has added on 10%, 15%, 20%, which is, I believe, very common, you're paying that surcharge to the manager for that electrical work. Our premise is we're being paid to manage your property. We will manage your property, we'll charge you the management fee on every property, but part of managing is we rung the electrician, we've had them there to do it, we've paid the electrician, you've been debited for it, but we haven't marked it up 10, 15, 20%. Managing it is part of the job. That's a little hidden cost and can really add up, especially when you've had a fair bit of work done. So get an original invoice, make sure you look at it, double check that you're not being charged extra. The other things are, no, if there's a maintenance cost, of course the owner has to pay. If there's lights broken, something's damaged and it needs to be repaired, that's fine, and that's understandable. Probably the most flagrant charge that we've seen in probably the last year has been a manager that was charging $30 for shaking the gas bottle, and it was down as gas bottle check. And when the owner rang the manager to find out what was that for, and said, checking the gas bottle, it wasn't refreshing the gas bottle, changing the gas bottle. They've simply, at the property, they've shaken it and said, no, it's still half full, but they've charged the owner $30 for shaking it. When we were asked, how much do we charge for shaking the gas bottle? Surprisingly, we don't charge anything for shaking a gas bottle. If the gas bottle's empty, we replace it and charge you the $40 whatever it is for a new one. It's little things like that. A barbecue plate is dirty. The manager charges you a cleaning fee as an extra for that dirty barbecue plate. If the barbecue's plate is dirty, our cleaners should clean it during the normal regular clean as they do everything else. This shouldn't be an additional cost. There may be some things that you have with your manager, such as key drop if it's a property where you don't have key access and you need to leave keys somewhere. It may be other things. You're washing some owners' linen, they may have a doona cover or whatever and you're having to do it. Well, of course, the owner, you've got an agreement and they charge. But look for the percentage increases put on and look for any other ridiculous fees that you may be charged. Number 8, it's always of interest when we ask a new property owner who's coming to us from another manager and they ask us, how many nights am I allowed to stay? It's your property. You can stay there as much as you like. Our expectation on taking on a management of a property is that it should be available for at least 6 months of the year. And 6 months, you're there or you're not there. We've heard of instances where, because of a local council zoning, you're restricted to 90 nights a year. Well, that's fine because that's a council zoning thing on the zoning for that building. But we've also heard of others where on-site managers have said that you're only allowed 4 weekends or 5 weekends a year, or you're allowed a total of 20 nights a year. Find out about that, if that is, because that's a rule that's been made up by the property manager, except for the zoning one. It's your property, you can stay there, and you should be allowed to stay there. Number 9, last one. We always say this is the short-term rental market's most dirty secret. We have a rule with our business. If a guest checks out on that day, we have it cleaned and ready for another guest check-in on the same day. So if a guest checks out at 10 this morning, we'll have cleaners in and have it ready by 3 p.m. for a guest check-in. But that's not the norm. Might not be aware of this, but most on-site managers, if a guest checks out on a Sunday, your property may be cleaned on the Monday morning. Very few of them will ever clean it on a Sunday, unless it was a holiday period. It won't be cleaned at all, but it may be cleaned on a Monday. But it may be cleaned on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. What a lot of on-site managers do, they have their own permanent on-site cleaning staff, is that they smooth out the cleaning over the week. But what it means is your property then gets blocked out for Sunday night, then maybe Monday night, and then maybe Tuesday night. I went to look at a property to take over the management, and it was a Wednesday, and I went with a real estate agent. Guests had checked out the Sunday and it still hadn't been cleaned, and it was going to be cleaned later that day. Now, that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday nights. It's been blocked out for 3 nights in the calendar. So when you're looking at your online calendar, just see if a guest checked out today and there's no booking, just check, can I check in? And can I make a booking? Can I put these dates? And if it won't allow you to do that, you know that the property manager's blocked it out. And it's simply to lower their costs, to make their life easy, and to try and smooth out their cleaning. The job of the property manager is to have your property available, ready to rent, to make you the maximum profit and turnover possible. That action by that property manager doing that can literally cost you thousands and thousands of dollars a year. We took over a property, beachfront Warana, where after every single solitary visit, it was blocked out on the day of checkout. And the owners were told it takes more than 24 hours to clean the property. That's ridiculous. So our guests check out at 10, we've got cleaners there. This is a 4.5 hour clean on that particular property, and we have it ready before 3 o'clock. Just check, because this happens absolutely on a widespread basis. It's not every single property manager, but it is many, and it is most on-site managers. Thank you. I hope all of these 9 tips to you will help, and it gives you something to look at in your own property management to see if you're getting what you're actually paying for. Thank you.